Good evening and welcome to Latrobe City Council's council meeting, which is being held at the Gippsland Performing Arts Centre in Traralgon tonight. Tonight's meeting will be held with councillors and guests joining us in person. It's my pleasure to welcome our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sharon Gibson, Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan and Councillor Campbell. And we are also happy to welcome our Acting CEO, James Rouse, and our executive team who are hiding off screen. Councillors, we move into the acknowledgement of the traditional owners, and I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting here today on the traditional land of the Barrakalung people of the Gunai-Kurnai Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. And if there are any other elders present, I'd also like to acknowledge them. We move on to the housekeeping. We conduct our council meetings under the governance rules currently in place. For those participating in the meeting via audio-visual link, please be mindful that your voice or image will be recorded and captured. I thank you for respecting the protocols of the meeting taking place tonight, which will ensure that we can extend the appropriate courtesy and respect throughout our meeting. If councillors could ensure that they raise their hand if they wish to speak so that I can see it. Remain seated to speak directly into the microphone to ensure that they can be heard within the room and via the live stream. And when voting, raise their hand and leave them raised until I call their name. We'll now move to apologies and leaves of absence. Mr CEO, are there any leaves of absence or apologies tonight?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We have an apology from Councillor Barnes and the previously approved leave of absence from Councillor Lund.
Thank you, Mr CEO. We now move on to agenda item number 3, adoption of minutes from the council meeting held on the 28th of July 2025. Commencing on page 4 of tonight's agenda, Councillor Gibson.
Happy to move.
Councillor Pugsley.
Happy to second. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Seconded and moved. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Anyone like to address the motion? Okay, councillors, will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself, I declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move on to declarations of interest. Councillor Pugsley, I note you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd like to announce that I have a general conflict of interest with the matter of 10.2 on the agenda. This conflict has been previously circulated to the CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I also have a general conflict of interest on item 10.2 that I've previously socialised with the CEO. Thank you.
Yep. Councillors, any other conflicts of interest? No? Okay. We'll now move on to acknowledgements. Councillors, are there any acknowledgements this evening? Councillor Gibson, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Potter. Yep, Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have 2 acknowledgements that I'd like to put forward. The first one is Latrobe Theatre Company for their brilliant show of Mamma Mia. I was lucky enough to go, and some of my fellow councillors also went on opening night, and Latrobe Theatre Company always do a great show, but this was brilliant. So if you haven't been, I'd suggest you go. And the other one was for Gippsland United Basketball Club. Now, both male and female teams made it into the grand finals, with the male team winning, and it was a really great match. Mind you, I would suggest the ref was a bit different, but yeah, it was a really great match, and congratulations to both teams, and for the male team actually taking away the silverware.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Morgan, I noted you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to start with my first acknowledgement The passing of Ian Spriggs, a much loved and valued volunteer and friend of the Morwell Centenary Rose Garden, and well-respected rosarian throughout not only Australia but the world. Although Ian only lived in Morwell for just under 11 years, his connection to and impact on the Rose Garden goes back much further, and his positive influence cannot be denied. One of his most notable achievements for this community, Ian nominated the Morwell Centenary Rose Garden as a candidate for the World Federation of Rose Society's International Award of Garden Excellence, which it won, and with it gained world recognition back in 2009. The international acclaim has brought many rosarians and tourists more broadly from all over the world right here, well not here, but to Morwell, to one of Morwell's greatest attractions. So before living in Morwell, Ian would make monthly visits to the Rose Garden from his home in Narre Warren to provide much appreciated advice, to spend time in the garden he loved, and to just say hello to some like-minded rosarians. In 2014, when it was time to retire, it's no surprise that Ian, along with his wife Sadie, decided to make the move to Morwell. Ian did not move to just anywhere in Morwell, no. Ian moved directly across the road from the Rose Garden. Following the move, Ian became an integral part of the Friends of the Rose Garden. As the Friends have told me, Ian was their go-to man. He had a deep and extensive knowledge of roses. I understand that he could tell you what a rose was by its appearance, colour, leaf or perfume alone. An incredible skill. He generously shared his immense knowledge with the community through numerous lectures, talks, public presentations and printing demonstrations, through informative articles for the Friends newsletters and through his time as the editor of the Australian Rose Annual from 1995 to 2006, where he elevated the publication to international acclaim. Ian was also himself a successful rose breeder. He notably bred the beautiful rose Annie's Song, which was released for commercial sale in 1999, and there is a bed of Annie's Song in the Morwell Rose Garden. Ian acted as a consultant to the Victorian State Rose Garden at Werribee Park, where there is a bed of another one of his rose breeds, Australian Sunrise. Ian himself was a member of the Rose Society of Victoria for 55 years. He served as president from 2006 to 2012, vice president from 1991 to 1994, treasurer, committee member. He was a Victorian Rose Judge, a National Rose Judge, both until his death. In 1986, he was awarded Honorary Life Member of the Rose Society of Victoria. He served as the president of the National Rose Society of Australia. He had many, many acclaims, including being appointed chairman of the World Federation of Rose Societies Awards Committee in 2006 to 2012. He was also awarded the National Rose Society of Australia Rose Award in 2002, the T.A. Stewart Memorial Rose Award in 2002, and the National Rose Service Award, Rose Society of Australia Service Award in 2007, the National Rose Society of Australia Service Award, and the World Rose Awards Bronze Medal in 2015, and the John Pascoe Faulkner Gold Medal Service Award in 2022. Huge achievements. Beyond his immense passion for roses, Ian was a quiet family man and a much-loved friend of all the Rose Garden volunteers, who will all miss him greatly. Earlier this month, the Friends of Morwell Centenary Rose Garden hosted a small memorial ceremony for Ian, surrounded by rosarian friends in the garden, which he so loved. A fitting farewell for a man who gave so much to the Morwell Centenary Rose Garden and to the global rose community. Vale, Ian. Can I have 30 seconds for one more quick other one? Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge Class Act Productions for their award-winning production of Singin' in the Rain Junior. So on Saturday, the 2nd of August, the cast of Singin' in the Rain Junior attended the Junior Theatre Celebration Melbourne, where they presented an excerpt from the show for professional adjudication, and they won the top award, Outstanding Production, for the show. And performer Mason Athanasiadis, I'm so sorry, I probably got that wrong, was also recognised with the Outstanding Individual Performance Award. So they're both the top level awards you can get through that conference. And they then came back to GPAC and had a brilliant season of Singing in the Rain Junior. It was fabulous. So congratulations to them.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Potter, you've got an acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge a fantastic volunteer who, after 22 years, is stepping down from her position. Margaret Guthrie of the Churchill District Community Association at the recent AGM made the decision to not continue. And so she started on that committee in 2003. And has spent many years as the president, leading the group and advocating for toilets for Churchill. 22 years. She feels that has been accomplished now, and so it's time for her to step back. But, you know, I just want to acknowledge that incredible volunteerism and thank her for her service to our community over that time.
Yep, thanks, Councillor Potter. Councillors, any other acknowledgements? I do have one. I'd like to acknowledge the recent passing of Morwell Fire Brigade Life member Ken McMeekin. Ken actually started with the Morwell Fire Brigade in 1964. He stayed a member until 2021, where he retired to actually enjoy some travelling time. With more than 50 years of service to the brigade and the community, he played a big part in the management of the brigade, particularly behind the scenes. So to Ken's family and friends and to the Morwell Fire Brigade, condolences for your loss and thank you for the years of service. Councillors, we now move on to item 6, which is public participation. The next item, there are public questions. I don't believe we have any public questions tonight from the CEO. We do, however, have 2 speakers to speak. The first being on item 8.8, the petition re the sealing of Rockler Road and upgrade of Drains Road T intersection, Traralgon East, and that was Rhonda O'Day. And the second speaker is on item 9.1, the endorsement of the Baldwin Road Development Plan, which is Dan Caffrey, who is President of the Latrobe Valley Sustainability Group. To both speakers, you'll have 3 minutes. You'll hear a bell at 2 minutes 30, which will give you a 30-second warning. And then if you can hang around to the microphone once you've finished speaking, and we'll see if there's any questions. Mrs O'Day, if you could come up to the lectern if you wouldn't mind. Yep, can we get one of the officers to... there we go. Yep, no worries. Just hang on 2 seconds, we'll get that handed out to the councillors first. Thanks, Alba. Thanks, Alba. Thank you. There we go. Thanks, Alba. Rhonda, stage is yours.
Right, I've already prepared a short thing before I read the agenda today, and I picked up the agenda, and I just say I was upset, just to put it mildly, because as far as I'm concerned, the report by councillors is totally biased. There's not one mention of safety in that entire report. It's basically a report making myself and every petitioner look a fool for wanting to make achieve upgrades to this gravel section of Rockler Road and to stop sign. And as I've handed out, the only reason after really decades for me of trying to get this road improved and a stop sign, even a week before that piece of paper you've got, I handed in, I was told I'd never ever be given a stop sign at this intersection. It was not relative because it's all to do with driver behaviour. My own investigation, asking what was the criteria with the Victorian government for a stop sign, says that it's a stop sign is required when there's no poor visibility, if you cannot see in both directions. So a day after I submitted that report, I was granted a stop sign. Here we go, decades I've been petitioning for this and pushing for it. And Rockler Road, well, basically the report says you're not going to do anything. nothing's going to happen to it. Well, something has happened to it since December when I was nearly killed on this road, is that council have been upgrading the gravel section. And within the last couple of months, they've done something miraculous. They've used some chemical or road surface material that is hardened, so the corrugations that nearly killed me in December have pretty well nearly disappeared. We have potholes, but the road is in what would you call a good gravel road. I'm not complaining about it. And that's why my initial report was thank you for upgrading the road. But this report that was in the agenda, it's just damning of every single thing that we've been petitioning for safety. There's not one mention by the bureaucrats who wrote this with the word safety in it. They even stipulate that didn't mention the industrial estate, which is what people, tradies, farmers, everyone use. They go on to call it a rat run when people want to cut across, they say a shortcut up Rockler Road to get to McNairn Road to go to Macca's or to go to Bunnings, or for farmers and all those rural people who go to the stock supplies with trailers on. And my emphasis was that when you do a left-hand turn off the T intersection of Maffra Road, you've got to get into those lanes, 2 lanes across. There's minimal area for vehicles to park. Quite often that lane is backed up and blocking one line of the entire freeway or highway. So here we are. This wasn't about a rat run for people trying to save time. It was about safety. People use drains, they use Rockler, they get on a roundabout, which then takes them as they curve around and make a gentle turn to get into McNairn Lane, which is much safer when you're towing a trailer or you've got a bigger vehicle. So that's I'm just upset over the whole issue of that report, because it's just basically making myself and every petitioner look an absolute fool for asking for an upgrade and improvement of safety.
Yep. Thanks, Rhonda. Councillors, any questions? Yep, Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Matt, very much for coming to speak to us today, Rhonda.
Sorry if I'm loud, but I'm upset.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I take note on why you're upset. I do take note of that. Are you happy with the result that has actually been finally done, though?
Yes. And the other thing is council as are refusing to seal this road because of prudent, because in the future there will be a development, and so the council don't want to pay $200,000 to make these improvements, so they'll get the developer to do it. We understand that, but if they can upkeep this road to the condition, but the concern is with summer and the dust, but there are chemicals or there's something you can do to roads to stop dust, and that's going to be another big issue. But the road is in good gravel condition at the moment, and we're pleased with that. I got my stop sign, not because it was granted, but because by law we should have had a stop sign there for decades, at least by that report since 2017. And I approached council in 2018 and had a report with the traffic management, who refused it, but did give me a give way sign. And and I was also informed that this stop sign would not change driver behaviour, but I'd like to inform you it has made some difference. For those that would never stop and keep moving, at least are cautious, and many people are stopping, because I observe and I toot them if they don't.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Sorry for the loud voice, but
No, that's right.
That's
Hang on 2
okay,
secs.
not a problem.
Hang on. Councillors, any other questions for Rhonda? No? Right. Thanks, Rhonda. Appreciate. No, you're all right. Our next speaker tonight, councillors, on 9.1, the endorsement of Baldwin Road Development Plan, is Mr Caffrey. If you'd like to come up, we'll give you 3 minutes. You hear the bell at 2:30 to give you a 30-second warning, and then if you can hang round after the second bell for any questions. Floor is yours, Dan.
Thank you. Our submission from the Latrobe Valley Sustainability Group is based on factoring in climate change and for all future developments, and have adopted as a model the Principles Council's Alliance a sustainable built environment, CASB for short. And our way of thinking is very much in line with the newly released report from the Victorian Government's inquiry into climate change risks and resilience of the built environment, tabled on August 12th. In particular, finding 6 of the report states, the cumulative impact of climate change intensifies risk to Victoria's built environment. The increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events leads to compounding and cascading events that shorten recovery periods, overwhelm resilience mechanisms, and leaves the community in a constant state of preparation for recovery. I'd like to highlight a few of our favoured recommendations related to Baldwin Road development. These are measures that reduce energy, especially that which is bought from the grid, and at the same time promote energy efficiency and lower costs for householders, and can make a significant contribution to fight climate change if adopted nationally. These measures are a street layout where most of the homes have an east-west orientation, so that homes can maximise the area for installing solar panels, can maximise passive design features, such as construction materials are thermally efficient and with low embodied energy, the highest insulation standards required, eaves on the north and west sides of the house to block out direct summer sun but allows winter sunshine to get in. Large north-facing windows to maximise passive solar design features. Small windows on the south to reduce heat loss in winter. Internal thermal mass to retain passively acquired heat from daytime sunshine to be released at night time. Double or triple glazed windows for all the house, installation of heat pump for hot water systems, reverse air cycle air conditioning for space heating and cooling, no black roofs. Encourage the installation of rooftop solar PV where possible batteries. Avoid all gas infrastructure. Consider the inclusion of a community battery for locals to trade electricity between themselves, such as the system at Yakandana. While we expect a drying climate for this part of the world in the future, we can also expect intense downfalls of rain from time to time. With a warming, more energetic atmosphere, events like this will increase in intensity and frequency. So we need adequate drainage systems, and also it'd be nice to capture much of this runoff as possible for irrigation, such as at Officer and Cardinia Shire development there. The lowest drainage point on the subdivision could be devoted to a natural space to encourage biodiversity and maybe a wetland or a lake. Provision for up to 30% of the public accessible areas to be covered by trees and shrubs to minimise the urban heat island effect. Provision of infrastructure to enable EVs to be accommodated, as well as ample...
Have you got much longer to go, Dan? Can we wind it up?
One sentence.
One sentence, perfect timing.
To accommodate electric scooters, bikes for people to walk to shops and amenities if they wish. In summary, we would like to see a development which is efficient, low carbon intensity, comfortable for residents, sustainable and respectful of biodiversity, and resilient in the face of a fast changing climate. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Pugsley.
Thank you, and through you, Mr Mayor. You referred to the officer in the Cardinia Shire and the irrigation. Can you elaborate on what that is, please?
I can't elaborate much, but I remember reading about probably 6 or 7 years ago, there was a development being made there to capture wastewater, basically in swales or underground development, and incorporate a natural sort of biodiversity system along with that. And that water could be drawn upon in times of dry conditions to be used in irrigating that area and areas nearby. So I can't give you the name or anything, but I'm sorry about that. But I could look it up. I could chase it up for you if you like.
Yep. Councillor Pugsley, you good? Yep. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for coming in speaking to us, Dan. 2 questions, please. One, you would have seen the recommendation. Are you happy with that? And 2 is, can you explain to me the benefits from double glazing to triple glazing, please?
Well, firstly, the triple glazing is just more efficient in trapping heat because you've got 2 layers of insulation basically. The other points I'm not so sure about. We just answered the questions on and made a submission. I think it was about 4 or 5 pages to this, but I haven't actually seen what the subdivision proposes. But being a sustainability group, I thought it'd be nice to actually get our point of view about how design should go. But I'm sure that these days, I think you take a lot of these things into account naturally, flood levels and non-go areas and things like that. So I'm afraid I can't actually answer directly to the
That's
question you
okay.
asked.
No worries. Thank you very much.
No,
Thanks,
you.
Councillor. Any other questions? No, thanks, Mr Caffrey. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Councillors, we now move on to item 7, notices of motion. There are 3 items in this section. Item 7.1, 2025/10 Fire Rescue Station, Fire Rescue Victoria Station in Moe, commencing on page 6 of the agenda. Councillor Gibson, I noted you.
Moving, please.
All right, Councillor Gibson is moving. Councillors, Councillor Pugsley, I take it you're seconding.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to second.
Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have any opposition? No. Councillor Gibson, would you like to speak?
Yes, please. Look, it's a really simple notice of motion. And you hear a lot of things, but there's always lots of rumours that go out, and it doesn't always mean that they're true. So this is what I'm trying to address. This has been a long journey for the Fire Rescue Victoria site, which is the old Bawbaw site in Moe. And while it's been cleared, which is great, finally, there's concern that has been addressed, and there's where the rumour comes in, that it won't be built. Now, I would rather not listen to anything like that. I'd rather get the proof. So that's what this is all about, just finding out exactly what, when, how, who and why. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Pugsley, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. I definitely agree with everything that Councillor Gibson has said. The community are happy that finally some demolition work has happened on the site, but it's not enough. We need to know exactly when we are going to expect the promised FRV fire station. Our community are eager for this project to go ahead, as they're sick of the site, how it has been previously, and we want the entry to our town to reflect exactly who we are. We want it to be cleaned up, developed. We want to be proud of our town. The government have promised this critical project, I believe in 2021, but I am happy to stand corrected, and we want it to come to fruition. By doing this step, I feel that it'll be another step towards seeing this project realised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Gibson, seeing as we didn't have opposition, you don't get to close. Councillors, I'm now going to put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 7.2. 2025-11 Planning Scheme Amendment VC 282, commencing on page 7 of the agenda. Councillor Pugsley, I note you.
Through Mr Mayor, through you, Mr Mayor, I'd like to move this.
Yep. Councillor Pugsley is moving. Councillors, do I have a seconder? Councillor Howe. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Councillor Pugsley, would you like to talk? Speak. Sorry.
Either one works for me. Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor, I've put through this notice of motion as the state government have recently announced that they have changed the planning scheme. This change has the effect that council will no longer have the approvals on land under 300 square metres, as long as it meets a certain criteria. Part of this change also means it takes away the public's ability to be able to raise objections to development on that size land, as long as it meets a certain criteria. Our planning department have worked very hard over the years to make sure that our existing neighbourhood character is respected and maintained. This change in the planning scheme is trying to make a one-size-fits-all solution. We don't live in Latrobe City to be sandwiched in. This may be fine in the suburbs, where you trade off space and neighbourhood for the neighbourhood character and being closer to the city and what the city has to offer. But I choose to live here because I love my community, but also of the extra space that our residential areas offer. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Howe, would you like to speak? Sorry, Councillor Morgan. Question?
I do have a question. Through you, Mr Mayor. What are the effects on Latrobe's planning scheme from the VC 282 amendment, please?
I will hand that over to the CEO, and I've got a feeling he might throw it to one of our executive officers.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I will pass that on to the General Manager of City Planning and Assets.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Through you, Mr Mayor, probably the easiest way of explaining is that this state government reform changes the rules around single dwelling developments on smaller lots. What it does is that it removes some of the variations that we have. As an example, permeability. We want 50% of a block to be permeable. The state government actually increases that, where it's only 20% of the block that would be permeable. So it changes the requirements. I do note that single dwellings on small blocks, there isn't that many triggers in the Latrobe planning scheme, but I think what these changes are is consistent with the state government reform that are standardising schedules and residential zones to making it standard across the state, which is removing some of the local feel and character that council developed as part of Live Work Latrobe and the housing strategy.
Yep. Did that answer your question, Councillor Morgan?
It did, thank you.
That's all right. Councillor Howe, back to you.
Okay, yeah, I'll just speak briefly to it. This council spent a considerable amount of resources 6 or 8 years ago when we did Live Work Latrobe, I think it was, when we laid out how we wanted our city to be developed and how we wanted to look in the future. And that came into what was Mr Reardon was just saying about open space, about setbacks and everything. We put in the effort. Our community was consulted extensively, and this is what we came up with. And I just think it's a little bit disrespectful that the state government now thinks they can come and tell us how to run our planning scheme and how our city will look in the future. A little bit disrespectful, and I'm just a little bit worried that this is the start of maybe more things to come, where they're obviously trying to speed up the planning process. But when you look at everything else that you have to line up when you are putting in a planning application, I don't think these little tweaks will make a lot of difference, but it might have a big effect on the look and the feel of our community in the future, in another 15 or 20 years. So I don't think it's a bad thing that we write and just say that we're not really happy with it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? I've got Councillor Gibson and then I've got Councillor... Question? Against. Speaker against? I'll go for, then I'll go against. Yep.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy for our concerns to be relayed to the state government because, as Councillor Howe said, we put in, I think it was 18 months of work for Live Work Latrobe to actually come to fruition, which looked at so many things. I won't say all the ones that Councillor Howe's already said, but also 11 lots per hectare, because we are actually not Melbourne. We're not metro. People come here because they want a different way of living. And my concern is also what Councillor Pugsley was saying about this is actually taking away the community's right to object. So I'm more than happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. And Councillor Potter, you wish to speak against the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I find that VC 282 actually responds to two really pressing challenges that we're having at the moment: the need for more housing and the need to deliver that housing as quickly as we can, effective as we can, consistently and sustainably. So VC 282 streamlines that assessment of single dwellings and second dwellings on lots under 300 square metres. And we know that's something people are really looking for at the moment, is that second small dwelling, whether it's your kids moving back home or whether it's elderly parents also living with you. So to be able to put that second small dwelling on a lot, you know, and if that application meets a clear deemed to comply, that's their statements, standards, it automatically qualifies for that fast tracking through, which means that decision will be made in 10 business days without months of delays or uncertainty or am I going to get this through? You know, we've seen lots of people complaining about how long it takes to get those planning applications through. This is fast tracking it. So we often talk about the need to cut red tape, and I think that's exactly what this does. It removes the duplication, it reduces the scope for costly appeals, and it frees up our planning staff from weeks of paperwork on straightforward applications that already meet the rules. So that's time and money saved for the council, for the applicant, and ultimately for the community. The amendment VC, it's got a funny name, 282, strengthens standards around sustainability and livability and ensuring that tree canopies are protected. It's going to ensure that people have access to daylight, which we found that during COVID, that was one of the things that actually maintained people's mental well-being, was how much daylight they are actually getting during lockdowns. So that's a really important aspect to be protecting through this. And of course, making lots of roof space for solar. So while we're cutting red tape, we're also raising the bar for greener and healthier zones. So I'm not going to support this notice of motion, but I'm doing that so that we can have faster decisions, less red tape, better homes for our residents. And I feel that writing to the government objecting to these changes, it feels more like a political move than actually helping our families to get into homes. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Yep, thanks, Councillor Potter. You got a question? Yep. Yep, sorry, you've got a question, Adele?
I've actually got two questions through you, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
The first one was how many days with our planning scheme do we currently run at? Are we within the guidelines that we are set? And the second one, I was a little bit, I might have it wrong in my head, but granny flats, aren't they, they're usually not on a separate subdivided block, are they? They're usually on the normal home block.
I'll send that through to the CEO, and I've got a feeling I know which direction they're going because he's reaching for the microphone now.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Again, I'll defer that to Mr Reardon, the General Manager of City Planning and Assets.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Just to clarify, Councillor Pugsley, your question in relation to timeframes is in relation to statutory timeframes. Yeah. So statutory timeframes, I'm glad to say we're probably some of the strongest in the state. Last year was well in excess of 85% in terms of statutory compliance rate. Your question in terms of is a secondary dwelling tied to a primary dwelling on the site? So as an example, what most people will allude to as a granny flat, yes, it's tied to the primary dwelling on the site, yes.
So just to clarify, a granny flat wouldn't be in this situation, would it, of the 300 square metre?
Through you, Mr Mayor, what it talks is that it talks to a dwelling on the lot, and then the smaller dwelling is specifically described as secondary to the primary dwelling on the lot. It's not, you can't put a smaller granny flat on a separate lot. It has to be tied to a primary dwelling on the site.
Okay, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Campbell, you had a question?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I actually did a bit of reading on this today, and I just asked a question. Is this part of the expansion of the Future Homes program? And my question on that, in that part, it says that this can only happen on land within 800 metres of large regional activity centres. Will that be expanded further, or is that specifically for the CV 282?
I'll just put that through the CEO.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. CEO, again, I'll refer that to the General Manager of Regional City Planning and Assets.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Campbell, this is part of a wider housing reform. So that statement that you referred to in terms of that specific policy, that's part of the wider housing statement where the state government are trying to encourage more streamlined and increased dwelling approvals to allow for more dwellings in the state of Victoria. VC 282 is specifically related to, it's a Victorian-wide amendment, so it affects everybody equally, if that makes sense. That's why some of the standards have been changed to apply equally across Victoria. So VC 282 specifically relates to a single dwelling on a lot, so a clause 54 of the planning scheme, so that equally applies to all councils across Victoria.
Within that 800 metres?
VC 282 specifically talks to a single dwelling on the lot, not the 800 metres. No, correct.
All right, councillors. Councillor Morgan, question?
I do have two questions, Mr. Mayor. I'll start with my first one. Do we have the figures for the number of people experiencing homelessness in Latrobe City, please?
Yep. Mr. CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. No, we don't currently carry that data, so I can take that question on notice for you.
Thank you. And my second question, I noticed the notice of motion focuses on the character of existing residential neighbourhoods. How do these changes to the planning scheme actually affect existing residential neighbourhoods, please?
Mr. CEO, to you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll refer that one again to the General Manager of Regional City Planning and Assets, Mr. Reardon.
Welcome home.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. That's a very good question. I suppose if you look at existing residential settlements, there could be, for instance, a vacant block less than 300 square metres in a residential settlement. While previous standards, they'd have to apply all previous standards that are identified in Live Work Latrobe, increased setbacks, variation requirements, increased permeability, so more space around the block, so to speak. That currently has been removed as a result of this. So largely what it is, it changes the character and feel of existing residential areas, is that if 90% of the blocks are developed, and there's one of these blocks that's now triggered with it, that's how it could change the feel and character area. It could look, to the trained eye, to a certain extent, different to the wider existing residential development in an area.
Thank you.
That's right. Councillors, have we got any other questions that would like raised or any clarifications? No? All right, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Pugsley, we've had a speaker against the motion. Did you wish to close?
Yeah, just briefly through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Latrobe City, we already have enough land to meet our requirements, our mandatory targeted requirements set by the state government. As I previously stated, most of us live here, not because we were just brought up here, like I moved here when I was a teenager, because it's where we want to be, because the block sizes, it's a great place to raise our family. It's the feeling of the neighbourhood that we live in. And I think, as Councillor Howe alluded to or did state, this is just the start of probably bigger changes that is going to take more say away from us. If we deserve to have the right to object if somebody is going to change our area, neighbours should have a right to object, and it's taking away our power of saying, no, I don't like something in the area that I've invested a lot of money in. Like, you buy a home, it's a lot of money. It's not cheap. And if your whole neighbourhood character changes because of these changes, well, you won't have the chance to move somewhere else because it's the whole of Victoria that this is potentially going to change. So this is why I would like to council to write to the MAV to lobby against these changes, basically. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, we've had speakers, so we're now going to put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Howe, get the pen working. Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. Those opposed? Councillor Potter. I declare the motion carried. Sorry? Yep, certainly can. Do you need a break, Councillor Campbell? I can take a 5-minute break for everyone. Yep, councillors, we might take a 5-minute break so Councillor Campbell can take a break. To the live stream, we'll be back in 5 minutes. know. And welcome back to our live stream audience and to councillors in the building. We'll now move on to our next item, which is 7.3, which is 2025/12, notice of motion, Lloyd Street Rail Crossing in Moe, commencing on page 8 of the agenda. Councillors, do I have a mover? Councillor Pugsley, I note you. Councillor Gibson, I note you. Councillor Pugsley.
Yes, thank you. And Mr Mayor, I'd like to move. Thank you.
Yep, and Councillor Gibson.
Happy to second.
Seconding. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Councillor Pugsley, would you like to speak?
Yeah, just briefly. Thank you, Mr Mayor. This notice of motion is we're seeking to write to the Department of Transport to find out exactly where we are in regards to the promised Moe Lloyd Street level crossing upgrade, including key timelines and milestones to be completed. Our community have been waiting for the completion of this promised project and are really eager for its completion. This upgrade promised is in the interest of making a safer intersection for our community. Just the couple of statistics I could find, that it has been reported that between 2010 and 2020, there were 15 serious crashes in this intersection. This upgrade as well was announced in 2021. And the community are yet to see any of the promised safety upgrades that are planned. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Gibson, would you like to speak?
Just really quickly, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, it's similar to my previous notice of motion. We need to know exactly what's happening. This has been on the books for many years. We had the funding, then it went away, then it's back. So we really need to know exactly what's happening.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Pugsley, seeing as we had no opposition, you don't get to close. We'll now put that on to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself, I declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move on to agenda item number 8, strategic items for decision. There are 9 items in this section. The first item is item 8.1, Draft Financial Plan 2025-2035. I note you, Councillor Howe. I note you, Councillor Gibson. Preliminary approval for the public exhibition commencing on page 10. Councillor Howe.
Happy to move, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Moving Councillor Howe. Councillor Gibson.
Happy to second.
Seconding. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Councillor Howe, do you wish to speak?
Certainly, I'll just speak briefly, thanks, Mr Mayor. This plan presents a 10-year financial projection which outlines the resources required to deliver our council plan, our community vision and other strategic priorities. It includes an annual cash flow forecast and key assumptions related to service delivery and infrastructure investment. So, for an example, we anticipate the closure of Yallourn Power Station in 27-28 and Loy Yang A in 35-36, which will reduce our council revenue by approximately $2 million and $4 million respectively. The plan highlights that council is currently operating with an annual underlying deficit, and if this isn't addressed, this could lead to reduced services, lower service levels and decreased investment in maintaining and renewing community assets. As shown in the reports table, the adjusted underlying result, where the target should be greater than 0, ranges from anywhere between -5.2 and -7.1. Council faces several financial challenges, which includes our costs increasing year on year that exceeds our capacity to raise rates, the revenue impact of power station closures and the growing need of infrastructure renewal and expansion. And we have the upcoming developer contribution plan schemes which are currently unfunded. So this is a critical document that outlines the financial pressures that faces our council over the next decade, and I look forward to receiving feedback on our community on the plan. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Councillor Gibson, did you wish to speak?
Just quickly, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm more than happy to support this, and what Councillor Howe was saying is quite true. This is wise management on our behalf. It's a 10-year plan. We know we have issues going forward with the closure of the power stations. We know about timber. We know these things. So it's very prudent that we look and prepared for what's coming and to put our city in the best position possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Gibson. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Howe, we didn't have any opposition, so you don't get the chance to close, sorry. Councillors? Councillors, we've had speakers. We'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move on to item 8.2, Draft Asset Plan 2025-2035, Public Exhibition, commencing on page 35 of the agenda. Councillors, do I have a mover? Moving Councillor Gibson. And seconder, Councillor Pugsley. Do I have any opposition? Councillor Gibson, did you wish to speak?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. It is really prudent, not just the 10-year financial plan that we've just put out for public exhibition, but also our draft asset plan. We have a great deal. We have 59 million or $59.3 million worth of assets that are in very poor or end-of-life condition. We have an annual expenditure of over 39 million. We have a great deal of new assets that while it's lovely that the state or federal government give us different projects and they're built, we then have to actually manage the asset, which can put a lot of money to our bottom line. I think the Gippsland Aquatic Centre is $1 million to our bottom line, I think it is, each year. So it's really prudent that we actually have a draft asset plan to ensure that we are utilising our assets the best way possible. With roads, there's certain timeframes that they need to be upgraded, but you can't just go and upgrade it. You have to manage this. You have to have it budgeted for. So that's why this is so prudent that we have a draft asset plan, and I would encourage my fellow what would I call us, community, to actually have a look at the plan and see whether we have got it right or not. And if you don't believe we have it right, to let us know and tell us ways that you believe it could be done better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Pugsley, did you wish to speak?
Wish to reserve at this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Morgan.
I would just like to say that I'm very happy to support the public exhibition of our draft asset plan, and echoing what the previous speaker said, I would encourage the community to have some input into this and really get an understanding of how many assets that we as Latrobe City have, the state of those assets, and what we actually want to be putting money into. We have some really, really wonderful assets in this community, from GPAC and GRAC to much smaller things like community halls. And I think the community needs to be very clear about what they actually want and need in the community, because we have an enormous amount, and we can't fund everything in perpetuity and continue to gain assets, because that's just not possible. So I very much encourage everyone to have a look, have a say, and have their input into the state of our assets going into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillors, do I have a speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Gibson, Councillor Pugsley, you're reserved.
No, thanks. I think I'll just leave it. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
You're done? No worries. Thank you. Councillor Gibson, we had no speakers against, so you don't get to close. Councillors, we now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter. Councillor Howe? Sorry, it was up and down, up and down. Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you for that, councillors. We now move on to the next item. Councillor Gibson. Councillor Howe, I note you. Councillors, and I know Councillor Gibson, and I know Councillor Morgan. Bear with me, councillors, bear with me. We now move on to item 8.3, Draft Road Management Plan 2529, public exhibition commencing on page 77 of the agenda. Councillor Howe.
Hoping to move the motion, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Moving, Councillor Howe. I noted you next, Councillor Gibson.
Happy to second.
Happy to second. Councillor Morgan, I noted you.
I was also happy to second, but that's all right. I wasn't
That's all
quick
right.
enough.
Too easy. Thank you, Councillor Morgan. I'll get you thirding the motion. Councillor Howe, would you like to speak to the motion?
Certainly, thanks, Mr Mayor. This motion seeks to endorse the draft road management plan for 25 to 29 to go to public exhibition and for community feedback. Under the Road Management Act, the council is required to have a road management plan and review it every 4 years. The plan outlines how the council manages the risks associated with providing a safe and accessible transport network across our roads, car parks and footpaths. While the Act does not require us to meet industry best standard, it does require us to set a service standard that is financially sustainable and balancing the available resources with the community expectations and risk management. Council is committed to providing safe roads, footpaths and bridges, and as such, the plan focuses on managing safety-related hazards through defined inspection regimes, service intervention levels and response times. The plan also clearly defines division of responsibilities, and as an example, councils might be responsible for the road, the curb and the footpath, while the property owner is responsible for the driveway in between. So, it also outlines the asset hierarchy for the council road network. So we've got 4 or 5 different levels. We've got 4 or 5 different areas. We've got urban and rural roads. We've got car parks. We've got curb and pathways, shared and bicycle paths, and bridges and major culverts. The plan describes the different inspection types and how they apply to each category. It also defines common defects such as potholes, corrugations and the associated repair timeframes. This is a comprehensive and important document for council, and I'd like to thank the officers for their thorough and diligent work in preparing it. And I really encourage everyone to read this. It's the third report they've got to read, but it's going to be a busy month. Encourage everyone, because we want to hear from drivers, we want to hear from truck operators, motorcyclists, cyclists, pedestrian joggers, to look at it, or even just look at the part that affects them. You know, if you like running, just look at what we do on the paths and provide us with your feedback, because we haven't hit the mark on this. We want to hear about it now so we can make the adjustments for the next 4 years. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Councillor Gibson, did you wish to speak?
I really don't think I need to.
Okay, done. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would just encourage everyone to have their say on this once this is hopefully supported by council to go out to public exhibition to ensure, I think, as was mentioned, that these plans work for everybody. It weighs up our responsibilities with the community, accessibility, but also things like insurance for the council and things like that. So we can weigh it up so it is the best outcome for everybody, and we have roads and footpaths and bridges and everything else it covers that suit everyone in our community. So happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillors, do I have a speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Howe, no speakers against. You don't get to close again. We'll put it to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 8.4. Councillor Morgan, I note you. which is Latrobe City Council's submission to the declared mine rehabilitation plans for Hazelwood and Yallourn Mine, commencing on page 137 of the agenda. Councillor Morgan.
I'd like to move this, please.
Moving Councillor Morgan. Councillors, do I have a seconder? Councillor Potter. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Councillor Morgan, would you like to speak?
Yes, please. I'm very happy to support this motion. The presented submissions here to the declared mine rehabilitation plans for both Hazelwood and Yallourn mines are thorough and community-focused documents that look to ensure there is a responsible party well into the future for the declared mine rehabilitation plans, and that our community gets the best outcome from the rehabilitation of those mine sites. So they're very, very thorough documents. I congratulate the council officers who have put this together. Fabulous work. And I think at its core, it's very much focused on ensuring that we have a great future post mine closures and power station closures, but also ensuring that community has a real say and has a real use in the land that is available for use afterwards. So, yes, happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Potter, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is one of the biggest changes that we're actually going to see in our community is these large pits being rehabilitated, and we need to make sure that we get it right, and we get it right from the start. So, you know, it's great that we've had this input into it and been able to make sure that not only that it comes out in the best outcome for the whole community, that it's going to be sustainable long term, especially with the big bulk water that is going to be needed to if flooding them is actually what they go ahead with. So we need to be able to weigh that out with drought conditions that we're seeing at the moment, and where that water's coming from and how it's going to be used, and then how the community are going to have access to these large lakes that we're creating, and what sort of economic development can that bring in for Latrobe City as well. So more than happy to support these. They're great documents.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Morgan, no opposition, so you don't get to close. Councillors will now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself, I declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move on to item 8.5. Latrobe's note to Councillor Gibson. Latrobe City Council, note to Councillor Morgan. Note to Councillor Pugsley. Latrobe City Council submission to payment in lieu of rates scheme for energy storage commencing on page 156 of the agenda. Councillor Gibson, I noted you first.
I'd like to move the motion, please.
Yep, and Councillor Morgan, I noted you second.
I'd like to second the motion, please.
No worries. And Councillor Pugsley, I noted you third.
I also wanted to second the motion.
You can third the motion, Councillor Pugsley.
Thank you.
Councillors, do we have any opposition? Councillor Gibson, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm very happy to speak to this motion. For those of us who have been on council for a little while, we realise that in lieu of rates, the generators actually pay an amount that is tied to how much generation they actually generate. Now, we have got battery storage that is coming through. Now, that is not, it's very different to what we've got at the moment with the power generators. So in this submission, it's addressing that. So we're looking at how we can utilise or how we can rate the different developers, I don't know whether I'd call them developers, but the different agencies for this. So that is very different to the past. Because at the moment there is no proven methodology to calculate the energy storage systems, which is what I'm talking about. And going forward, there'll be much more energy storage systems going ahead. So it's looking at how they can be rated so it's not leaving council financially disadvantaged. There's a few other recommendations that are in here. And I do like incorporating a clause specifically that the pillar payments, and that's what they call the payments, pillar payments, should only stop once the land is returned and can be repurposed. So you don't just walk out the door when you're finished. You have to repurpose the land. That's one of the main ones, and it's about the base pillar rate is guided by the physical footprint, not the energy capacity, which is what used to happen in the past. It was always about the energy capacity. So I'd really like to acknowledge the amount of work that's been put into this, and this is actually a bit of a game changer for us if that happens. Now, I believe there's also a part in there that the money comes to the council. It doesn't go to the state government, because that's what has tended to happen with some others. Oh, I've actually done it in the past. So I think this puts council in a much better position. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Morgan, did you wish to speak?
Yes, please. I'm happy to support this submission. Again, very well done by council officers who've created this. I think this submission aims to create better, clearer definitions about what energy storage systems are and how they fit into existing legislation. Our submission also looks to support applying frameworks that work for hybrid sort of storage and generation capabilities of newer energy storage systems, and also basing it, as Councillor Gibson said, on the physical footprint rather than installed megawatt capacity, and ensuring payments will continue until the land is returned and can be repurposed for its highest and best use, and opposing discounts for underperforming storage systems. I think at its core, this submission aims to make sure the gap is filled in our revenue channels that's created by the closure of power stations and their replacement with energy storage systems such as batteries, often on the same land that those energy generation facilities were on. It's about making sure that we have a predictable revenue stream into the future. It protects council from being disadvantaged financially. And most importantly, all of that means that council can continue to deliver the services that we do at the highest capability we can, and ensure that we can continue to renew assets and upgrade facilities and all of that for the community and just have a better outcome. So well done to everyone involved in creating this. It's a very thorough document. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Morgan. Councillors, do I have a speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Gibson, no opposition, you don't get to close. Councillors, we now put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried. Councillors, we now move on to item 8.6. Councillor Pugsley, I note you. Councillor Howe, I note you. Bear with me, councillors. The item 8.6, Black Spot Program Applications 2026-2027. Councillor Pugsley, I noted you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pugsley, and I also noted you, Councillor Howe.
Happy to move also, but I'll second it.
Second, no worries. Thanks, Councillor Howe. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Councillor Pugsley, would you like to speak?
Just briefly, because I know that my colleague will have a bit to say, and very well he will say it too. So I'd like to move that the officer's recommendation for the applications for the government's Black Spot program. I note that one of the applications is actually one to local to me of Old Sale Road, Newborough, between Hague Street and Newmark Avenue. So I think that it's been a well thought out recommendation, and I look forward to seeing how it progresses. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Howe, would you like to speak?
I'll just add a little bit. There's not much really. It's our officers have identified 5 locations across Latrobe City, which has been based on reviewing the crash data of each of the sites and other sites. It includes 3 resubmissions and 2 new submissions. If we aim to receive notification mid next year. But before we do start any works, we'll go back to the community with the residents around the areas where the proposed works, and we will deal with them before we do any more planning or any work commences. Just let everyone know that we are committed to improving road safety, and I'm pleased to support this motion.
Thanks, Councillor Howe. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Morgan.
Yes, I'd like to endorse this motion as well. I think the resubmission for the upgrade and safety works at Bridle Road are hugely needed, and I'm glad they're back on the agenda again, because that would be a wonderful outcome to see the section of Bridle Road between Princess Drive, Airlie Bank Road around Chestnut Avenue getting more traffic safety infrastructure would hugely help the Morwell community. So very happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillors, do I have a speaker against the motion? Do I have a speaker for the motion? Do I have any councillor wish to speak? Councillor Pugsley, we've had no opposition, so you don't get to close. Councillors, will now put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried. Councillors, we now move on to item 8.7, Community Consultation Update. I note you, Councillor Potter. I note you, Councillor Gibson. I note you, Councillor Pugsley. Sorry. Community Consultation Update. Proposed sale, Lot 2, Mountain Glen Drive, Moe, commencing on page 174 of the agenda. Councillor Potter.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm more than happy to move this one.
Yep.
And resolving to sell the land known as Lot 2 Mountain Drive. We've talked about all the many...
Sorry, Councillor Potter, I need a seconder before I can get you to speak. Sorry.
I was keen.
I know, you're keen, I can see that. I won't hold you up very long. Councillor Gibson, I noted you next.
Happy to second.
And I'm sorry, I noted you third. Councillor Pugsley, we'll let it ride. Okay, Councillor Potter, would you like to speak?
I would, Mr Mayor.
Done.
Where was I? Okay, I'm really excited about this one. You know, we've got so many assets. We do actually have to hand some over to communities and to other people who want to use these lands. And these are all industrial zone 3 where they're situated. And I think it's great that it's actually been broken up. So Lot 2 being sold, but we're retaining for the time being anyway, lots 3 and 4. And if you've had a look at the map, you'll see they are heavily treed. When this went out to consultation in July, August last year, we received 51 submissions where people were very concerned that this was actually a koala habitat. So it's really great that that has actually been recognised. That's going to be maintained for the moment anyway, until we can do further consultation around that and ensure that safety of that habitat that's there. So Lot 2 is cleared land, ready to go for industrial development if somebody's interested in doing that. So I think this will be a great asset for us to release that will go to much better use, hopefully, in the future. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillor Gibson, did you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Now, if I'm right, I believe this was part of an industrial park that was set up a couple of decades ago. And while that hasn't eventuated then, hopefully now it's a better time, because it's a great lot that's straight out onto the freeway. So for developers or for industrial businesses, it's ideal. But I share what Councillor Potter was saying about the koalas. There is quite a large concern about the koalas that are on the different lots. So with all the trees there, you know, we have such a our koalas, sorry, I'm a bit not thinking the best tonight for obvious reasons. We have a different strain of koalas here. We have the Strzelecki koalas, which is so different to anywhere else in Australia. They don't have all the actual chlamydia and all the diseases that the others do. So if it is true that the koalas here are part of the Strzelecki koalas, we need to ensure that they're saved. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Pugsley.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor, as I couldn't third it really officially. I would like to speak on this because obviously this is somewhere close to, it's basically my backyard. So community consultation was undertaken between the 5th of July and the 5th of August last year, and the overwhelming feedback was that the community wanted to maintain Lot 4 because of its importance for the local Strzelecki koala habitat, and that it be maintained as part of the Strzelecki Alpine Biolink. As these parcels of land are jointly owned with the state government, by selling Lot 2, it will actually enable council to consider acquiring from the state government interest in Lot 4 and safeguard it potentially as a koala habitat. I am also eager to see who might buy it and develop it for the good of our Moe community, and hopefully it will result in some jobs for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have a speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Potter, we've had no opposition, so you don't get to close, sorry. We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to 8.8, which is the petition sealing of Rockler Road and upgrade of Drains Road T intersection, Traralgon East, commencing on page 185 of the agenda. Councillors, do I have a mover? Councillor Howe. Councillors, do I have a seconder? Councillor Potter. Councillors, do I have any opposition? No. Councillor Howe, would you like to speak?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
No?
No, just noting the report, and we'll advise the head petitioner of the resolution.
Yep. No. Councillor Potter, did you wish to speak?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor. I think we've heard a lot today about it.
Yep. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Do I have any councillor wish to speak? Councillors will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell. Those opposed would be myself. Councillors, I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 8.9. Councillor Potter, I note you. Councillor Pugsley, I note you. Potter and Pugsley. Councillor Morgan, I note you. Councillor Howe, I also note you. Councillors, we move on to 8.9, lease update. Old Methodist Church, 41 Princess Street, Traralgon. Councillor Potter, I noted you.
I'd like to move, Mr Mayor, thank you.
Moving Councillor Potter. Councillor Pugsley, I noted you.
I'd like to second, please. Thank you, Mr
Councillor
Mayor.
Pugsley seconding. Councillor Morgan, I noted you.
I'm happy to talk later. Thank you.
Yep, and Councillor Howe, I take it you were looking to move or second as well?
If there's anything left to say, I'll say it at the end.
Okay, thanks, councillors. Councillor Potter, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I really support this motion of the Old Methodist Church in Traralgon because of the special place it holds in the community's history and in our identity. And as we consider its future, I think it's really vital that we hear from the people who know this building, who love this building, our community. So this final round of engagement is not just about deciding what happens, it's about ensuring the community has had its say in shaping the future and reflects our shared values. So as we move into this final stage of engagement, we want to hear from everyone. I especially encourage community groups, organisations or even individuals who are interested in using the building to come forward. Because if we don't have anyone who needs to use it or want to use it or have great ideas, this is where we lose these beautiful old buildings. So every idea deserves to be heard, whether it's repurposing the building, relocating it, or exploring some other options that you might have. So please, residents, come forward, share your thoughts, help us make a decision that honours the past while we also look at moving forward. So let's make sure the process is as meaningful as it possibly can be. So thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillor Pugsley, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, just briefly. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to move for this to go through to community consultation. As my colleague has stated, it is very important that the community have a say about the future of the Old Methodist Church in Traralgon. But it is very important to note that since the relocation of the information centre, Council currently doesn't have a use for this facility. So it will be interesting to see if the community does feel like there is a need for this facility to be kept. I do note that the current state of the building is characterised as very poor, and that our last quote in June 2025 that the cost to refurbish this building and make it fit for purpose would cost in excess of $844,000 plus GST. So it'll be interesting to see how this moves through for our community consultation. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I know heritage and history within our towns and communities is vital to our identity and character as a community. And I also recognise that the Old Methodist Church has had a very important place in a lot of people's lives. As noted in the report and mentioned by Councillor Pugsley, there are currently significant costs to ensure this building is safe and accessibility compliant. It is not in a good state. However, I'm very happy that we are looking to take this out to the community one last time to ensure community has a say on its future. If the community does want to see this church continue into our future, then we need to see community buy-in. We need to see real actionable plans and real investment by the community into this building to ensure its future and the history of the building itself is carried forward. We can't see that happen without it. So I encourage the community development associations, historical, heritage, cultural organisations to please come together to work on a plan, have a say and be a part of ensuring its future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Do I have a speaker against the motion?
No. Yeah, I've got to
go against it.
I'll speak.
Speaker for the motion. I take it that might be you, Councillor Howe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We heard in 2021 the community's angst when we were looking at demolishing this church. We've had the delays with the lease, which we've finally sorted out. So now it's time to go back to the community and give the community an opportunity to save this much-loved historical building. As said before, the council has no operational need for this building, and the recommended course of action is demolition. However, if the community wants to save this building, now's the time to step forward. This won't be a quick or a simple process. This is going to require long-term commitment, planning and funding. So the motion before council tonight is to initiate a final round of community engagement. So it's 2 months. So we've given plenty of time, every opportunity for the community to come forward with some ideas, some funding strategies and potential uses or even new locations for this church building. Okay, and council's here to support the process 100%, but this has to be a community-led effort. So we really want to hear from the community. And I said, we're here to help. So if anybody wants to speak to any of the councillors on this, I'm sure they're more than happy to sit down and have a chat with you about it and our officers. So I'm very, very happy to support this motion. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Councillors, do we have a speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak? I will just clarify for the community that submissions close at 5 p.m. on the 31st of October. So we need them in by then, if you could. Councillors, Councillor Potter, we've had no opposition, so you don't get to close. Councillors, we now need to put this motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move on to item 9. Note you, Councillor Howe, which is statutory planning. There are 2 items in this section. The first item, 9.1, is the endorsement of the Baldwin Road Development Plan commencing on page 213. Councillor Howe, I noted you.
Oh, happy to move it. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Moving Councillor Howe. Councillors, do I have a seconder? Councillor Morgan.
Happy to second that, thank you.
Yep. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Okay, Councillor Howe, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. I think this is a fantastic development for Latrobe City and a significant step forward for our region. This is located in the strategic growth area in Traralgon North. The project includes 400 residential lots of varying sizes with an average density of 10 lots per hectare. The development features a shared path connection, a local park and an acoustic barrier along the Traralgon-Maffra Road to manage noise impacts. It also includes a minimum of 8% open space, ensuring a healthy balance between housing and recreation areas. A comprehensive community consultation was undertaken, which included letters to landowners and occupiers in and around the development plan area. There were 2 public notices in the Express. There were hard copies of the draft development plan and supporting documents made available at council service centres. There was online access for all the material, and we even had a 4-hour community drop-in session at GPAC. The feedback received during the consultations led to refinements in the development plan, which is outlined in the body of the report. This plan meets all the requirements of Schedule 11 of the development plan overlay and aligns with our broader planning policy. So I think this is a well-considered and thoughtful design. I fully support it and I look forward to seeing it come to life in the future. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Councillor Morgan, did you wish to speak?
Yes, briefly. I think I'm very happy to support this plan because I think it's a step in the right direction. The Baldwin Road Development Plan incorporates many elements of the Sustainable Subdivisions Framework, as was mentioned by Mr Caffrey earlier, and it looks to ensure that this is a space that people can use, people can live in and be surrounded by nature, be surrounded by public open spaces. There are tree protection zones and easements to allow for unencumbered land. And I think there's also detailed sustainability outcomes can be further implemented through planning permit conditions as well. So it's a really great move to more sustainable development here in Latrobe. So very happy to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Howe, no opposition, so you don't get to close. Councillors will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 9.2. Note you, Councillor Pugsley. Note you, Councillor Howe. 9.2, Proposed Planning Scheme Amendment C150 LATR, Traralgon Golf Club, commencing on page 368 of the agenda. Councillor Pugsley, I noted you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move this.
Moving Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Howe, I noted you.
I wish to second it. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Seconding. Councillors, do I have any opposition? No. Councillor Pugsley, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to note that this was a great document that basically outlined the cost benefit of retaining the golf club in its current setting. So by retaining it in its current setting, there is a ratio that we apply to most things that we do in council, and the cost benefit was to retain it $1. For every dollar spent, there was $1.32 that would be generated, which means there's an extra 32 cents above what was originally expended. If the golf club had been relocated, it would have had a negative effect and would have only returned 70 cents per dollar spent. As a result, it is recommended that we proceed with the amendment of the Traralgon-Morwell Town Structure Plan to keep Traralgon Golf Club in its present location and rezone the TGC to special use zone. By rezoning this, it will ensure that the golf club can future plan and give them the assurance that they can implement long-term strategies for the good and ongoing viability of the club, but also for the community as a whole, as well as the confidence that they will be rated as a special use zone so they don't have to apply for council for rating concessions. This in itself will provide extra certainty. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Howe, did you wish to speak?
I'll just briefly add a little bit to it. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, it's great to see this returning to the chamber and progressing in a direction that aligns with our community's expectations. As Councillor Pugsley said, this motion is going to propose to rezone the Traralgon Golf Club to a special use zone. This change will ensure that the club remains as a key economic asset for both Traralgon and the broader Latrobe City. But equally important, it secures the club's future as a valuable recreation facility for all people of all ages across our municipality. Beyond its physical health benefits, the golf club supports mental well-being by offering opportunities of exercise, social interaction and just time spent in the natural setting. Consultation was taking place with both the Traralgon Golf Club and Golf Australia. So if endorsed, the Council will submit this request to the Minister for Planning to authorise the preparation and exhibition of the amendment and then it will be placed on public exhibition for the community's feedback. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Howe. Councillor Gibson, I note you. Do you wish to speak for the motion? Okay, Councillor Gibson, yep.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This has been a long, long time in coming. I can acknowledge that I have been in this chamber with this issue for a number of years. I've done rescission motions, I've done notice of motion, the whole lot to try and get the Traralgon Golf Club to stay where they are. And it's been a long fight. We have had the Traralgon Golf Club come and present to us on a number of occasions. We've had Golfing Australia, I believe it was, as well, come and speak to us. And finally, we're actually going to do what should have been done many years ago. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Councillor Gibson. Councillors, do I have a speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? Any councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Pugsley, no opposition, so you don't get to close. Councillors, we now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare that motion carried unanimously. Councillors, we now move on to item 10, corporate items for discussion, and we have two items in this section. The first is item 10.1, contract variations for the period 1st of April 2025 to the 30th of June 2025. Councillors, do I have a mover? Councillor Howe, you're moving? Happy to move. Councillors, do I have a seconder? Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have any opposition? Councillor Howe, would you like to speak?
Just briefly, there's not a lot in this, I don't think. It's just in line with our council's procurement policy that we report these variations on a quarterly basis. I think that not only is it a policy requirement, but I think it also reflects the council's commitment to transparency and to keeping our community informed. I'll just go through a couple of the highlights of this one. There are currently 186 active contracts, with 11 contracts, or only 6%, having variations recorded during the last quarter. of a total of 35 variations were approved across those 11 contracts. Importantly, all variations were managed within approved project budgets. Of the 11 contracts, 6 included positive variations, demonstrating that contractors are actively working with council officers to try and deliver added value for our community and for our ratepayers. So pretty much that's what I've got to say. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Howe. Councillor Pugsley, would you like to speak?
I think my colleague has said most of it, but I would just like to state that I'm happy that all variations were within the contract budget. Thank you.
I don't think you're alone on that one, Councillor Pugsley. Councillors, do I have a speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any councillor wish to speak? There being no opposition, you don't get to close again, Councillor Howe. We need to organise this better. Councillors, will now put this motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself, I declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillors, before we move on to item 10.2, I've had a discussion with the CEO prior to the meeting, and as of half of the information required for item 10.2 is in confidential, and when debating item 10.2, a councillor might refer to that. For safety's sake of councillors not being done for confidentiality breach, the CEO and I, along with governance, have decided to put item 10.2 into confidential. So we'll therefore leave that at the moment and move on to item 11, which is urgent business. Councillors, do we have any urgent business? No, I'll take that as there being no urgent business. Councillors, we now move on to reports for noting, and there are no reports for noting at tonight's agenda. So we move on to the next item, if I can turn the pages quick enough because they're sticking together. Therefore, we move on to no tabling. Meeting closed to the public. Under section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act, councillors, do I have a motion to conclude the open portion of the meeting and close the meeting to the public to consider confidential information? Noting you, Councillor Gibson, you're moving.
Happy to move.
And Councillor Pugsley. Councillor Morgan, I take it you're seconding.
Yes, happy to second.
Councillors, do I have any opposition? Any councillor wish to speak? Okay, councillors, will put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Howe, Councillor Pugsley, Councillor Morgan, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell and myself. I declare that motion carried unanimously. Councillors, that concludes the open part of the meeting. The meeting will now be closed to consider confidential business items listed by the acting CEO. Thank you to all members of the community viewing via the live stream, and to those members that have hung around in the gallery and stayed. We do appreciate you staying with us here at the Gippsland Performing Arts Centre. We thank you to everyone, and we look forward to joining you at our next meeting. Good night, and councillors, if you want to take a 5-minute break, catch up for a coffee. If you need to, 10-minute break, catch up for a coffee, and we'll come back to the closed section. Thank you to everybody watching on the live stream, and good night.